The Syrian Arab Army regains full control of Morek city in Hama and kills many terrorists there. Terrorist attacks kill 30 Egyptian soldiers in Sinai. The Syrian-Russian Committee for Economic Cooperation conclude deliberations in Sochi by addressing new cooperation prospects. And as the international community marks the World Day for Polio, the Ministry of Health in Syria intensifies efforts to eliminate the disease in the country. Good afternoon, this is news in English from the Syrian Al Provision in Damascus. As world countries mark the World Day for Polio, the Ministry of Health is intensifying efforts to eliminate the disease and keep Syria free from it.
About 24 years ago, Syria became free from polio. However, the terrorist groups recently brought the virus and disseminated. The first case was discovered in Al-Mayadin city in Deir ez-Zor. The armed terrorist groups have hindered the efforts exerted by the Ministry of Health to eliminate this disease, encouraged by the so-called Istanbul Council and the states that sponsor terrorist organizations. The so-called opposition also caused the humanitarian catastrophe in Idlib through vaccinating children in preemptive ways that lack professionalism, causing the death of 15 children and the suffocation of scores. The Minister of Health, Dr. Nizar Yazigi, affirmed that the ministry adopted an integrated plan to confront the virus and ensure the required vaccines to be given to all children below 5. He also stressed the ministry's keenness to immunize children against all childhood diseases.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov affirmed the impossibility of solving the crisis in Syria without unifying the international community efforts in confrontation of terrorism and extremism. He renewed the stand of his country in support of the Syrian and Iraqi governments in confrontation of terrorism. Lavrov said that it is necessary for the Syrians to determine their future through dialogue without any foreign intervention, saying that Russia does not take part in the international coalition led by the United States, stressing that combating terrorism should be based on international law and under the supervision of the United Nations Security Council. The Syrian army regained full control of Morek city in the northern countryside of Hama province and killed many of the terrorists and mercenaries there, according to a military source that also said that engineering units are clearing out mines, bombs and sand barricades from the city. In Idlib countryside, Syrian Arab Army units and the armed forces eliminated terrorists and injured others by targeting their dens in Kafr Jalas near Saraqib town and in the surroundings of Sarmin town in the countryside of the province. Meanwhile, in Homs countryside, the Syrian Arab Army units killed a number of terrorists and destroyed their vehicles in Al-Msharfi and Jub al-Jarrah, Al-Rastan, and also in Aleppo countryside. The Syrian Arab Army units targeted terrorist gatherings in Nasrallah and Hanano, destroying their vehicles and killing a large number of them. In Dar'a, units of the Syrian Arab Army targeted terrorist gatherings and eliminated most of them in Al-Ghariya al-Gharbiya and to the west of Ataman town. In Iraq, the Iraqi armed forces continue advancing into Zumar, northwest of Al-Mosul. After controlling 3 villages in the area, in the same concerns, the Iraqi forces have killed 5 ISIS terrorists and destroyed a vehicle carrying a number of terrorists during an airstrike south of Tikrit. While in Diyala, the army eliminated 15 ISIS terrorists and destroyed 4 vehicles for them. After a coordinated assault on an army checkpoint in the Sinai Peninsula, which has killed 30 Egyptian troops, the Egyptian Presidency and the National Defense Council have placed Sinai in a state of emergency. Headed by the President of Egypt, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Egypt's Defense Council vowed that the army would take revenge for the shedding of dear blood. So it has instructed authorities to take measures which it described necessary to protect the lives of civilians. Russian security forces eliminated 3 gunmen belonging to a terrorist group in the Russian republics of Daghestan and Gardin-Badkar. The spokesperson of the National Russian Committee for Combating Terrorism said that the terrorists were killed in 2 special operations within the framework of the committee's efforts to eliminate terrorism. The British independent newspaper disclosed that the ISIS terrorist organization has forced children to see horrible crimes, especially the beheading and slaughtering of victims caught by the organization.
The British independent paper said that the ISIS teaches children how to slaughter the victims and open fire against others based on sectarian vision. The paper referred that the ISIS trained children to become future suicide bombers after planting the Takfiri virus in their heart and minds. Meanwhile, the International Center for the Study of Extremism, affiliated to the British King University, said in a new report that the British terrorist is killed in Syria and Iraq every 3 weeks.
Public protests have renewed west of Saudi Arabia after the death sentence issued by Al Saud against the well-known cleric Shiekh Nimr al-Nimr and 7 others. One of the Saudi actors stressed that Al Saud have issued a death sentence against Sheikh Nimr on charges of stirring sedition last Wednesday, while the unjust sentence was met with outrage and resentment in and outside the kingdom due to the unique position of Sheikh Nimr in the Islamic world. Stay with us after the break, the latest in the world of economy.